Welcome, boys and ghouls, to the kickoff of 2 whole months of spooky season content right here on AVA Pop Culture. Now, I am Chase, and we are turning down the lights, we are turning up the fog machine, and we are letting the monsters run wild to start this Halloween season celebration on Monster Monday, because I have a list of 10 of the best monster movies of all time to share with you, and this list is extra special because today I am joined by some of your favorite and my favorite YouTubers who are bringing you their picks for some of the best monster movies of all time. So pop that tape in, I got you, let's go do this. All right, so what better way to launch spooky season content than with the foundation of all things Halloween and spooky season? That is monster movies. These are the movies where creatures are the star of the show. So let's toast to spooky season and jump right to the list. Kicking off this list with a little terror from above is John Carpenter's classic from 1988, They Live. The aliens are among us, and we are asleep while they are awake. They Live is a monster movie classic that maybe you don't think of as a monster movie to start off with, because these are not your usual drooling beasts or mindless zombies. These are alien overlords that are disguised as the rich, the powerful, and the downright annoying, to be honest with you. These are the folks that are selling you bad cable packages on billboards that secretly read, obey, reproduce, marry. They are trying to tell you what to do. That's the worst kind of monster ever. But the creatures in this were very bug-eyed, sort of uncanny valley, skeletal faces with a design by makeup master Frank Carasosa. They weren't really meant to be terrifying in the classic sense, but more of an unsettling, like something just off about your next door neighbor that you find a little weird. A little fun fact about this one is Carpenter wrote the film as a satire for consumerism and excess. So the real monster here might be sort of unchecked consumerism, but those aliens in this, they still steal the show. You've got Rowdy Roddy Piper in here as one who sees and unveils the horror just underneath the surface. There's something so unsettling about that. It makes They Live stand the test of time, and it is a great way to kick off our monster list here with They Live from 1988. But proving terror can come from below just as well as above. Here is Christian from Planet CHH with a massive monster from way down deep.
So the creature feature monster movie I pick is absolutely going to be 1989's DeepStar Six. And the reason I pick this one is for actually a few reasons. Number one, I think when people think of Sean Cunningham, they just think Friday the 13th. And I get it. You know, I'll be honest with you, I get it a lot. I mean, that's his biggest thing for sure. He built the house he lives in is the house that Jace built. But I think Sean doesn't get enough credit as a director. He's not only done that, he did a lot of movies before that. And then he did The New Kids, and he directed the big budget creature feature 1989 epic DeepStar Six. Now, the thing about that movie as well, it's kind of an underdog film because there were 3 big water movies that year. There was obviously DeepStar Six, but then there was The Abyss, James Cameron, and then there was Leviathan, which is very, very similar. And between the two, Leviathan is fantastic. I'm a little bit more partial to DeepStar. And one of the reasons I like DeepStar is, obviously I'll talk about the creature, which is thrilling when you see the creature in this film. But what I like about it is definitely the cast is unique, a little bit more unique to me in this one. Now, the cast in Leviathan is fantastic, but man, I love the cast. You'll see some familiar faces, like the cop at the end of Friday the 13th is in here, and some other faces from big 80s films. But the tension in Deep Star just continuously builds, and you know that this monster is going to be something. And it's a movie that, it's a little bit of a slow burn in a sense, But you could argue that all three of those 89 movies are slow burns with Deep Star, Leviathan, and even The Abyss to a certain degree. But man, what I love about Deep Star is the monster in this thing. The reality is, I think the reason you don't see the monster a whole lot throughout the film, obviously at the end of the film, you see this sucker in full. It's so gigantic and disturbing looking that I think it was probably an absolute nightmare to get working on screen. But when you see this sucker at the end, it is gigantic. When it comes up through the bottom of the ship, comes out the water, it's a monster. And it's one of the biggest like underwater monsters I think I've ever seen on film. I really like Deep Star Six. It's definitely a hidden gem to a certain degree, especially compared to the other two. I'd argue that Leviathan and The Abyss, which The Abyss really isn't like either of the films, besides being underwater, really. But they're the ones that get more of the attention, while Deep Star kind of sits a little bit in the back. And I like Deep Star. I think directing-wise, it's probably Sean's best movie, and technically. And there's funny behind-the-scenes pictures you can see of Sean in a swimsuit directing the film on top of like a small boat on the water, which is also really funny seeing. But yeah, I love this movie. When it comes to creature features, I always make a time to mention this one. So Deep Star 6 is one that I really dig. I really, really dig this one, and that creature is big. I love it. So that's what I'd like to mention is Deep Star 6.
So staying with the idea that the monsters can come from the ocean depths, we go to one of my favorite Roger Corman movies of all time, Humanoids from the Deep. Now, this 1980 flick features gill men of sorts, and the gill men are going to attack. This one is very sleazy. We've sort of waded in to the sleazy side of monster cinema with this, because this is a film where mutated fishmen crawl out of the ocean to terrorize a small seaside town. And yes, they are coming out of the water for more than just dinner. Let's just say these monsters have reproduction and procreation on their mind. The rubber suits in this, though, the monsters look really good, especially in the latest 4K that came out from Scream Factory, and they should, because they were designed by Rob Bottin. Yes, the guy from The Thing. This is where he cut his teeth, and it shows because those monsters still hold up today, even to 4K scrutiny. And while this movie is notorious for its exploitation elements, the humanoid creatures themselves are excellent examples of slimy B-movie monsters with bulging eyes, dripping fangs, and claws that come out of a magazine cover. You know, those old art pulp magazine horror covers. That's exactly the feeling I get. It's sort of a throwback to the 50s era kind of sci-fi atomic horror mixed with that creature feature and the Roger Corman sleaze. It blends together perfectly. Humanoids from the Deep, one of my favorites. It had to be on this list. Now, going back to the skies in search of more extraterrestrial terror, here is my friend Fuzz from the original Fuzz.
Hey guys, Fuzz here. How you doing? First off, I wanted to say thank you to Chase for inviting me to participate in his kickoff to Monster Mondays. I really appreciate it, and it's great to be here. And my favorite monster movie or creature flick of all time is, of course, Alien, which I don't think is going to be a surprise to anybody who knows anything about me. Not only is it my favorite creature flick of all time, but it's just my favorite movie of all time, period. I am a massive fan of this movie and this franchise. Some people might even suggest I'm a little bit obsessed with this movie and this franchise. And to be fair, that's probably not completely inaccurate. Now, before I talk about why this is my favorite creature flick of all time, I got to show you guys something super cool that I recently received from a mutual friend of both mine and Chase's, Mark Deal. It is a very rare collectible 4K Alien Chunky box with some wicked embossing on it. Look at that. And so I thought I'd set that up there for you guys so you can look at that while I'm talking about the film. This is a very, very limited edition item that came out in 2019 from Film Arena. It's a boutique out of the Czech Republic. And I just love the very detailed kind of extreme 3D embossing on this slipcase. So let's get into why I think this is the greatest creature flick of all time. I've got several reasons, but the biggest reason is the xenomorph itself. I mean, I do think the xenomorph is one of the greatest monsters ever created, one of the greatest creatures ever created and committed to film. I mean, not only is it deadly with those snapping jaws and the razor sharp tail that can impale you in an instant, but it's super fast and it's highly intelligent and very cunning and strategic. And above all, it's got acid for blood. So even if you do manage to kill this thing, there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to escape unscathed or that you're going to be in the clear because, of course, acid has its own set of additional challenges, doesn't it? So yeah, the xenomorph itself is a key reason why this is my personal favorite creature flick. But I do think this movie still holds up as one of the scariest movies ever made to this day. It's an absolute classic. But I've got a couple other reasons as well why this is my favorite creature flick. One of them is the atmosphere of the film. I absolutely love the atmosphere of this film, especially that first 45, 50 minutes or so. It's kind of a slow burn at first. It kind of eases you into it with this kind of unsettling vibe, right? But at the same time, it's kind of subdued and it's kind of almost like cerebral, right? I just love the atmosphere of the film and the way it kind of slowly, gradually builds this tension up. And the other reason this is one of my all-time favorite creature flicks is the way Ridley Scott chose to present the alien to us, right? More specifically, the level of restraint that Ridley Scott used in how much he chose to show us of the alien. You know, he gave us this very limited perspective on the alien, right? He never showed us too much of the alien at one time, and he didn't really like linger on the alien for very long in any one shot either. I love the kind of camera angles he would use, like the close-ups of the alien, or the way he would use light or darkness and shadows and silhouettes. Yeah, he would only give us little glimpses of the alien, but they'd just be pieces of it, right? It left a lot to our imaginations, right? Because we never really got, at least not until like the end of the film, we never really got throughout much of the film a full picture of what this creature actually was. Like, was it walking on two legs? Is it walking on four legs? Like, what is it? Right? Like, you just don't really know. And yeah, it leaves a lot to your imagination to kind of run wild. And like, you know, this thing's bad, but you don't know if you know the full extent of how bad it is yet, you know, because Ridley gives us limited information about the alien, and you just have to go on what he gives you. So I loved how Ridley Scott presented the alien to us, how he filmed it, and most importantly, the level of restraint that he used in limiting how much we could actually see of the alien. I just think that kind of restraint is what helped make the tension and the suspense in the film so effective. So I guess that's about all I've got to say on this today. Once again, Chase, thanks for having me. And yeah, my all-time favorite monster movie / creature flick, Alien.
Alien and Aliens, both all-time classics, terrifying, just mastercraft there in filming and horror movie making. But there is extraterrestrial horror, and then there are cosmic horrors with ancient cosmic evils embodied in very powerful demons. And that's what you have with 1983's The Keep. This is the demon of the fortress, Michael Mann's strange but incomplete and atmospheric terror, where you have Molasar, who is a smoky, glowing, statuesque like monster that is just sort of something like out of a rock and roll cosmic horror nightmare. It's got a little Lovecraft vibes to this thing, a little Hellraiser almost vibes to this thing, this otherworldly cosmic menace deep in World War II. The Nazis are occupying this mysterious fortress in Romania, and it is a big mistake because Molazar is a demon for sure of this unknown origin who has been imprisoned here for centuries and centuries. And this thing is right out of a nightmare. And the movie itself was plagued by studio interference, missing footage. We may never see the completed 3+ hour version of this film instead of the 90-minute version that we get. But the monster remains absolutely unforgettable. And part of the trivia ties into that because the special effects artist, Wally Weavers, passed away during production, and a lot of his effects that he created with the smoke and the way the monster looked still cannot be reproduced today. He took those secrets with him to his grave, and that left a lot of the stuff with the creature unfinished. Even so, Molazar stands up as one of the most unique monsters in cinema history, definitely one of the most unique of the 1980s, proving that power from a cosmic origin can terrify even if we don't have the full picture. The Keep had to be on my list. Now, for the next movie on this list, you have to remember that sometimes art imitates life, and sometimes art can come to life. Here is Jason from Pop Culture Mass to tell you just how monstrous art can be.
What's good, AVA Pop Culture fans? It is I, your brother, your boy Jay, the movie monk from Movie Mass, and I'm here to tell you about a little creature feature, one of my favorites, called Cellar Dweller. I hope you've seen Cellar Dweller because it's awesome, but if you haven't, go check it out. The monster is kind of, I don't know, it's like Sasquatch, sort of, but also kind of like the critters. There's like the critters with the face and the teeth, but it's also like 8 feet tall and 400 pounds, like Sasquatch or Bigfoot. So it's just this giant menacing creature. It comes to life via the artwork of first its creator, but then secondly, this young lady here who picks up the creator's work. She starts working in his old basement at this artist's retreat. It's real artsy-fartsy stuff, but it's great because it gives some of the young ladies an opportunity to pose nude for their, fellow classmates, but also us, the viewer. So there's some really good, very tasteful, tasteless nudity in there, and that's also nice. So it's a great film. The monster there, he shows up because if you draw him, if you're this lady right here and you draw him doing some stuff in one of like the comic book panels, then he'll come to life and really do the stuff. So it's sort of like this weird, almost voodoo doll type of thing where you can curse somebody. If you draw the girl getting killed by the monster's going to come and kill him. And some cool practical effects. And even before Jason Voorhees, this came out, I think this predates Jason Takes Manhattan by at least a year. And there's definitely a head punching scene where the creature, his claws are so sharp and his hand is just so big and massive that he's able to hit the guy basically about the side of the head and knock the whole head off. And that was before Jason did the same thing. So Cellar Dweller did it first and did it better in my opinion because it was an enclosed space. They were in the guy's room when the monster shows up. And so when he hits the guy's head, it knocks the guy's head around the room. It shows the guy's head like bounce off the door and kind of blood splatter and stuff, as it would when a head bounces around a room like that with the door closed and the windows down. I mean, it has nothing else to do besides just kind of bounce off the walls a few times. And so it's even, in my opinion, more fantastic and gory than Jason Takes Manhattan, the head punching scene. So they did it here first. And I just like the creature. I think the mechanic of the creature coming to life is cool. The setting is kind of cool, but you can also tell it kind of saved them money in one little cabin in the woods. It's like this artist retreat. And they, of course, put a whole bunch of good-looking ladies in this artist retreat who get naked, and I don't think you can go wrong with Cellar Dweller. So it's part of the Arrow Enter the Video Store box set that they put out last year. So it's included with, I think, 4 other films. You could probably get it for about $50 right now on the internet. $50, 5 movies. That's $10 a Blu-ray, and they all got a ton of special features, and they're all really fun films. But Cellar Dweller is by far my favorite film of those 5 films. But they're all great, kind of schlocky B-movie 80s films, and go check them out. Or else the creature is going to come punch your head off. There's nothing I can do about that. Those are the rules. I love you.
Cellar Dweller, definitely one of my favorites. Love that. Great box set as well. But for our next 2 movies, I have to ask the question, what if the most terrifying creatures you could think of were not only real, they were not only smart, but they were evil and they were after you? Well, first up to answer that question is 1999's Lake Placid. Here we have the giant croc in the water. We're taking this detour to the late 90s with Lake Placid, and this one swaps out ocean terror for a quiet Maine lake where a 30-plus foot crocodile is making lunch out of anything that moves. And the monster itself was brought to life by none other than Stan Winston Studios, the same effects team behind Aliens, behind Jurassic Park, and Predator. They built this massive animatronic crocodile that could really thrash, snap, lunge, and all of those things that a crocodile could do with terrifying realism. And then they backed it up with some early CGI to kind of enhance it. But the twist here is the movie has this little campy, fun tone to it and a great cast. You might think this is just a B movie, but the cast is outstanding in this film, including Betty White, who steals the show as the seemingly sweet old lady who's actually feeding livestock and maybe people to the croc as a pet. And a fun fact on this one is Betty White improvised a lot of her more memorable lines in this movie, and that role kind of helped reinvent her image as a comedy sort of cult powerhouse in the later portion of her life. The result, though, of the Winston creation here is that the monster movie is equal parts terrifying and funny, and that kind of makes it very memorable. But the reptile itself, with the design, steals the show and earns itself a spot in the Creature Feature Hall of Fame. And prehistoric crocs can be terrifying, but let's be honest, they pale in comparison to the second one on this list in this category. The all-time great, one of the greatest movies and greatest creatures ever committed to film, 1975's Jaws. You got the Great White Terror here. No monster list is complete without the king of the ocean, Bruce the Shark, who hardly ever worked. But this one is Spielberg's masterpiece. It helped coin the term blockbuster through the use of a creature feature and a creature that you barely ever saw, which is something that Ridley Scott kind of employed with Alien and has been duplicated many times. You get the glimpse of the monster in this. It is absolutely terrifying, especially when you think about Captain Quint towards the end and that slow death that was foreshadowed by a shark. This creature just waiting with the jaws ever relentlessly going to meet your doom. But behind the scenes, Bruce the Shark, as his nickname was a nightmare to work with because it famously constantly broke down, refusing to function and all that kind of stuff. But that led to creativity that made this monster movie unique to many others before then. And like I said, has been kind of copied as a style after that. You throw in John Williams' score here. There's basically just 2 notes of terrifying suspense building perfection, and what you have is one of the most iconic monster movies, creature features, and just films of any genre ever to be made. Jaws is an absolute classic, sort of one of the kings of monster movies. It had to be on this list. Now, one great classic deserves another, and here to tell you about one of the monster movies that helped start them all is Daniel from the Cobwebs channel.
I'm Daniel with the Cobwebs channel, and thank you so much to Chase for inviting me to talk about The Wolfman from 1941. And I brought my buddy Larry with me. When thinking about movies with a monster at the center, I just don't think there's any better option than The Wolfman because it's got the monster as the protagonist and the antagonist. And that's what I think makes it my favorite Universal Monsters movie. Because as much as I love these films and they have the greatest monsters ever, they can struggle a bit with protagonists. Like you look at Dracula, Bela Lugosi's awesome, but that version of Van Helsing and Jonathan Harker, not the best. But Lon Chaney Jr. is so phenomenal in this lead role. I mean, I think he was put on this earth to play Larry Talbot. He's such a great everyman. He's so relatable, sympathetic. You so root for him as he starts to form a new romantic relationship with Evelyn Ankers, and they're so lovable together that when his life completely falls apart by being bitten by a werewolf, it's heartbreaking, but it is also awesome. There have been a lot of great cinematic werewolves, but this one is still my favorite, designed by makeup wizard Jack Pierce. He looks so incredible. I love a werewolf that still looks more like a man than a wolf, but is still a ferocious beast. The image of him walking around a foggy autumnal countryside hunting down his next kill is just quintessential spooky season kind of stuff for me. I also think this film is so underrated for its score. It's some of the best music any horror film ever had. And it's so good that most Universal Monsters sequels that came out after this just reused this score. Like, it's too good. We're just going to keep doing it. No movie has ever handled the folklore of werewolves better with that iconic poem. Even a man who is pure of heart and says his prayers by night can become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright. That perfectly encapsulates what it is like to have a movie all centered around a monster. The Wolfman is one of my favorite films of all time. I hope you check it out this spooky season. Say bye, Larry. We'll see you next time.
Oh, The Wolfman, Frankenstein. These movies are absolute classics, just a perfect pick. All monster movies sort of owe a debt to the classic Universal monster films, but there is one movie left that may be among the best movies ever made, regardless of genre, and it was not appreciated when it first came out. Now it is sort of atop the pantheon of monster films. We are talking John Carpenter's 1982 classic, The Thing. The ultimate shapeshifter, a masterclass in paranoia. The Thing has it all, with the monster right at the center. From the subtle to the downright disgusting, Carpenter again hits a home run with The Thing. The monster isn't just one creature here, though, so that makes it kind of unique. It's all creatures. A parasitic alien that can perfectly mimic any living thing. That might be a dog. That might not be your dog. That might be your buddy. That might not be your buddy. Rob Bottin, again, his practical effects are absolutely legendary, though he paid a price on this one at a very young age, working himself basically into the hospital. More on that in my deep dive documentary style look at The Thing that's coming up on another Monster Monday. But the spider head, the chest chomp, the dog transformation, each one still makes people gag, wince, and look away today. Like I said, Bottin worked himself to death on this, but all that blood, sweat, tears, everything he poured into it helped bring to life one of the most iconic horror films ever and one of the most terrifying monsters ever. It's gross, it's smart, it is an absolute legend. You cannot talk monster movies and practical effects without talking about The Thing. It had to be at the top of this list. So there you have it. 10 amazing monster movies to kick off our Monster Monday content and 2 full months of spooky season, Halloween season content. It doesn't get better than demons hiding in fortresses, monsters in the Antarctic, aliens hiding in plain sight, horny fishmen, gooey reptiles. It doesn't matter if you're a killer shark, the monsters are out. It is their time of year, and we are going to enjoy it all. A special thanks to all of my friends who joined me on this video. The links to their channels are below in the description. If you enjoyed this content and you want to stick around for spooky season and beyond, make sure you like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. If you'd like to get more content, see this video and all others uncensored, plus special videos, 4K reviews, and so much more, and get your name and lights on every single video. You can join at my Patreon link. There is a discount code right now, new member 25 for 25% off of your membership over there, and you're going to get all kinds of extra content, and it all goes back into the channel, and I really do appreciate it. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. It's Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. Cheers to spooky season. Oktoberfest. It's here.
I know.